Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's very rare these days when a public figure Republican defends me and doesn't throw me overboard, but it happened last night. It happened last night on the Greta Van Susteren show on Fox. She was talking about this Letterman Palin business, and she had as a guest the former Republican governor of Massachusetts, Jane Swift. And Greta's question was this: I've defended Secretary of State Clinton. I have defended Governor Palin from personal insults. They're fair game for policy, but where are all of the feminists? Is it because this is the child of a Republican?
Who knows what it has to do with party politics, although I think Rush Limbaugh should get credit for standing up for a common standard of decency, and I doubt there are many liberals who will recognize that. But the truth is, it's wrong. It was a bad joke. David Letterman maybe should go back to his stupid pet tricks. The other thing people are missing is this isn't like a unscripted moment. This is a joke that's written beforehand and that he chose to deliver. And I think that carries with it a special responsibility versus perhaps just saying something that you later regret.
Yeah, I made that point a moment ago. This joke's written in the afternoon. It's on the cue cards or whatever Letterman uses. They had to run it back and forth. Something else I know there's some women on that staff over there. Did no woman on the Letterman staff look at this? Wait a minute, that's a little overboard or out of it. Of course not. They're all liberal women. It's all fine and dandy. The decency thing is, people, we can get lost and caught up in meaningless arguments, such as, well, Palin put the kids out there. They were on the cover of magazines. And then one of them practiced abstinence and then got pregnant. And Obama's put their kids out there. All of that, to me, is irrelevant. The whole thing was indecent. See, good comedy has to have an element of truth in it. That's what makes comedy biting and funny, is that there's an element of truth. There was no element of truth. This was just a full-fledged slam. It was a disrespectful, cynical slam. And there had been nothing that brought it on. Palin wasn't doing politics at the ball game. Her daughter wasn't doing politics at the ball game. They're sitting there with Giuliani, who had invited him to go. It was just, it was not decent. It was, not something that very many people would say in public, period. But the double standard clearly exists, and it always will. There's nothing that's going to change it. This is just one of the realities of life that those of us who are engaged in politics have to live with and to understand. All right, let me grab a call before the break. Chicago, this is Sharon. Nice to have you. Welcome to the EIB Network. Hi.
Hi, thank you, Rush. I decided this morning I was going to take a stand about what David Letterman said, and I emailed CBS and I told them I will never have his show on in my house again. Never. It just seems this obsession they have with Sarah Palin, it is so far over the top. It's almost irrational. They just won't leave her alone.
Irrational is right. Irrational is exactly right. They're scared to death of this woman.
Well, that's exactly what I said. I emailed her, too, and I told her what I did, and I told her they're so afraid of your strength that they're not going to stop until she's destroyed. And to make sure it's not bad enough they'll stick the knife in her back, but they twist it by attacking her children.
What point, if any, is there a backlash and there is some sympathy that is extended to Palin and her family?
Well, I hope people recognize it for what it is. It's not about being a Democrat or a Republican. Sarah Palin, the election is won, Obama won, and I just don't understand why they don't leave her alone.
Because they're afraid of her. You
they're
understand?
Afraid
you
of
understood.
her.
I mean, they're scared to death of her.
They are.
And anybody else that surfaced. Look, this woman was drawing 20,000 people or more at campaign rallies. She was the sole source of excitement and passion during the Republican campaign.
But they're going to reduce her to a joke, and that's what they're trying to do with all of this.
Well,
with what he was so far, that was so mean-spirited to do that to her daughter.
Let me ask you this. Do you think she made a mistake in responding to it?
No, I don't think so. I'm sure she gave it a lot of thought. I'm sure she gave it a lot of thought. And I think the point she made is that, he's a pervert to even talk about stuff like that about a 14-year-old girl. And I think it's the truth. I think people need to hear her stand up for herself, so she's not one to be...
I wonder if Letterman's going to start telling jokes about people who have children out of wedlock.
Oh, I doubt it. I saw him a few times when somebody would ask him, well, when are you going to marry your baby's mom? And he would just bristle. You could just see he didn't like being questioned about that.
His private life is totally off limits.
Totally off limits.
You don't go there. That's exactly
Exactly. Right. But I think what he did to those girls, I mean, it's hard enough to be a teenager these days, but to be having yourself being held up to ridicule on national television when you didn't ask for it. That girl came there for a charitable event with her mom. And,
it's not even a question of asking. Who would ask for something? Who would ask to be treated like that? It's not a question of asking for it. It's not a question of Sarah Palin put the kids out there. It's a question of common decency. Okay.
Exactly.
So what if she put the kids out? What politician's family has hidden the kids?
But I see
they don't hide the
her.
kids. They use them and then they hide them, and then they use them and then they hide them.
But I think the liberals are just obsessed with destroying Sarah Palin.
Yeah, there's no question
about it.
That's exactly it. Sharon, thanks. Very gutsy of you to call with this opinion from the hometown of the one, Chicago.
Right. Okay.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend.